So I just want to have some fun talking about antennas the other day, and it reminded me about an antenna that I had once that was for receiving cable TV, like microwave cable TV for free. Kind of like one of those that get intercepted, and I think they had inverted the signal. That was their decode, their scrambling the signal was, I think, just inverting it or something. It was something ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I built a little corner antenna that was a, if I can draw it here in the corner here. It was a, zoom down here. Let's see here. You'll see it. So it was just a dipole, and there was just some kind of I don't know, just kind of connector here where the center conductor went through, and it was just, like a N connector, or a BNC or something. I forget what it was, but I think it was a BNC or something. And there's this just bent wires, or like coat hanger wires. They were thick, and they went out, and this thing actually sat in the corner of a reflector. It was a piece of aluminum sheet that was bent, and that was it. It was a dipole in a corner, is what it was. A dipole in a corner, kind of like what this is showing here, and it worked great. And obviously, it's only sees half of other antennas, so it should have at least twice as much gain, right? It only goes in half of the world. So I found a couple articles and stuff about the relationships and all kinds of, you should build it this way, and there's a direct dependency on blah 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 blah. Anyway, as with most things, I just want to do, right? I say do. Don't worry about all the math. Don't worry about all the. Just do. Just try it out. Just have fun. So let me show you what I built. I took some PC boards. These are just single-sided raw boards. And I soldered them together into a corner, right? And then I soldered a little SMA connector, just some random distance. I didn't bother to figure it out, just whatever felt good to me. And I stuck it in there. Now, there is problems with these antennas being 50 ohms, okay? And there are tricks that you can do. Moving it in and out to the corner changes the impedance. Sometimes they put a secondary almost like a director. So this is like the driven element. So think of it as a Yagi. This is the reflector, this is the driven element, and then there are directors in front of it. And the little director would sit in front of it, and all of those things made it 50 ohms. What I found in this particular one was if you look at it down this way, can you see that? I have angled the wire out a little bit. If I move it in towards the reflector, it doesn't have a good 50 ohm match. But if I bend it out, I can get a pretty good 50 ohm match. In fact, it's an amazing 50 ohm match. So, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, before I show you the measurement, let's talk a little bit about maybe the theory of this thing, right? You're thinking, well, how does that antenna work? Okay, I did a video once on vertical antennas. So a vertical antenna is a quarter wave, and then it has ground radials, okay? We talked about, I had a video on magnetic mount antennas, where you have a quarter wave, and then you have a little magnet here, and you stick it on your car, and your car acts as the ground plane. The way that you think about this is the ground plane is a reflector. So it's like creating a reflection. So this quarter wave, it gets reflected and it makes another quarter wave over here, and you end up with a half wave, and that's a full dipole. And so that's kind of the way it works. So the way that I kind of came up with this, I was thinking about Yagis, right? Yagis kind of look like this, and this just can be a ground, and here's a dipole, and then here's a radiator. And then I thought, well, let's put that in a corner, right? Let's build this in a corner. And I thought, okay, well, that's a lot of work. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to cut it in half. Because if I put another ground plane in it, I get this reflection, okay? So I only have to have half of the dipole, because the other half just gets reflected, right? So here's half of my dipole. and the other half is just a reflection down below. And then I put it in a corner to add gain. And then I thought maybe eventually I could put in directors and make it into a corner Yagi. That's where I was headed, was a corner Yagi. I've gotten this far, so I have basically a quarter wave antenna in a corner. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, that's the theory. Hope that makes sense. So I basically have this. I have a connector here, and one side goes to the ground, and then the center conductor goes up to the thing here, and that's all there is to it. The little SMA is soldered down to this ground plane, and then the center conductor just goes all the way through. All right, let's make a measurement for not gain, but we can make an S11 measurement and see if we're hitting 50 ohms or not. Well, I'd say that's a pretty good match. That's a pretty amazing. It's going down there to minus 30. Oh, look at that, below minus 40. Wow, below minus 40 return loss. So that's an awfully good match. All right, I just have it sitting here. I figured it's not going to be anything in the way. I guess I could hold it up in the air. It is a bit dependent on what it's pointed at, but there you go. It's kind of, let me change my camera length. There we go. So I'm just kind of holding it up in the air, and yeah, it does, like I said, it does vary a bit. I'm sure it's fairly directional, but I really don't know how to test it yet. Well, I know how to test it, but I just don't want to. Okay, that's my quick video for today. Just playing with antennas. They're super cheap to build. Have fun with them. I was thinking of making maybe some type of device for this here where I could slide this in, have it on a slide somehow, where I could slide this in and out and try different distances from the reflector. If I bend it back, this is kind of where it wants to be, and if I bend it forward, then it has a better 50 ohm match. And maybe that's just I need to slide this in and out, so maybe it needs to come back about, I don't know, maybe about a centimeter, and then maybe it gets better. Or maybe having that thing angled makes it better. You never know with antennas. Antennas are really tricky things. It might be better the way I built it. Who knows?